Welcome to Lesson 3 of Introduction to Botany. On this episode, we're going to be going over plant cell biology. Now, in 1665, there was a man named Robert Hooke who used an early light microscope to observe thin slices of cork. He observed tiny compartments and named them cells, after monastery rooms, and then he published his findings in a micrographia. The significance of this is that it was the first recorded observations of cells laid the foundations for cell theory, and the first observed cells were plant cells. Now, cell theory, for context, or modern cell theory, is that, number one, all living organisms are composed of one or more cells, and two, the cell is the basic unit of structure and function in living things, and that all cells arrive from pre-existing cells. And there's two different kinds of cells. There's prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic cells, like bacteria for example, are cells that lack membrane-bound organelles. Their DNA is not enclosed in a nucleus, and their internal structures are less organized, whereas eukaryotic cells, like plants and animal cells, contain membrane-bound organelles and their DNA is enclosed inside a nucleus. The similarities between plant and animal cells is that they're both eukaryotic, they both share cell membranes, ribosomes, nucleus, and mitochondria. Now, getting further into the similarities with plant and animal cells, starting with the cell membrane is a selectively permeable barrier, and it regulates the movement of substances in and out of the cell. And after that, we have ribosomes. These are the site of protein synthesis. These are found free in cytoplasm or attached to rough ER. And next we have the nucleus. Those store DNA and control gene expression and cell activity. And finally, we have mitochondria. This is the site of cellular respiration. This converts chemical energy like glucose to ATP. And it's present in both animal and plant cells, because plants also respire. Now, getting into the differences between plant and animal cells is that plant cells have these unique structures, or mostly unique structures to plant cells, and those include chloroplasts, a central vacuole, cell walls, and plasmodesmata. Chloroplasts is the site of photosynthesis. This is where you convert CO2 with H2O with light energy, and that turns into glucose, and these contain chlorophyll. And then we have the central vacuole. They can occupy up to 90% of the cell volume, they maintain turgor pressure, stores water, sugars, and proteins, and they may also contain certain pigments. And then we have the cell wall. This is made up of cellulose. It provides structural support and protection and restricts independent movement of plant cells. And then we have cellulose. Cellulose is one of the most abundant organic compounds on Earth. It's used in paper, cotton, textiles. And finally, we have plasmodesmata. These are cytoplasmic channels between adjacent plant cells. They allow the transport of ions, hormones, and other small molecules. It enables cell-to-cell communication, and plant cytoplasm is functionally interconnected. There's also a couple other key important things, like plant hormones or phytohormones. These are hormones that regulate growth and development in responses to stimuli. They interact through signal crosstalk. There's a lot of different kinds of these plant hormones, like ethylene, for example, is the only gaseous plant hormone. It functions to allow fruit ripening, inhibit cell elongation, and leaf abscission. It's produced naturally by plants, like for example how bananas can accelerate the ripening of other nearby fruit, because they produce a lot of ethylene. There's also abscisic acid, or ABA, and this maintains seed dormancy. It prevents germination until favorable conditions exist. It's also involved in stress responses, like when plants are exposed to drought conditions. Then you also have gibberellins, which stimulate seed germination. They promote stem elongation and cell growth, and they activate enzymes that mobilize seed nutrients. There's also cytokinins. These promote cell division, also known as cytokinesis. They delay senescence, which is aging, and it's involved in development of shoots and leaves. Finally, we have the plant hormone auxin. This is the master regulator of plant growth. It establishes root versus shoot axis in embryos, so it determines kind of how the plant needs to germinate and what position it needs to grow up or down in. It promotes cell elongation, shapes plant morphology, direct responses to light, so phototropism, gravity, gravitropism, and touch, which is sigmatropism, which again just helps determine which direction stuff grows in. And it stimulates vascular tissue development and interacts heavily with other hormones. And plant hormones rarely act alone. There's tons of hormonal interactions going on. So like with auxin and cytokinin, you get antagonism, and auxin and gibberellin, then you have synergy in fruit development. Hormone signaling is also regulated by gene expression. And overall in plant cell biology, there's a lot of theories of how plant cellular organization even works in the first place, kind of like the idea of the chicken or the egg and which came first. You have cell theory and the reductionist view, which pretty much just explains that organisms are built from individual cells, or cells are the fundamental unit of life. And you have organismal theory, which is that organisms exist first, then subdivide into cells. And to quote Anson DeBari, it is the plant that forms cells, not the cells that form plants. So you can see how even botany, not everyone's going to agree. Now, if you could take away anything from this lesson, is that cells are essential to structure and function of life. Plant cells are specialized for photosynthesis, structural support, and long-distance communication. All sorts of plant hormones coordinate growth across the plant body, and cellular processes scale up to the organism-level function. Now, to summarize all of this, in 1965, Robert Hooke used a light microscope to observe cork, or dead plant tissue. He identified small compartments and named them cells. Cells are the fundamental unit of life. First cells discovered were plant cells, and that led to the development of cell theory. There's prokaryotic cells, which in short is no membrane-bound organelles. Like bacteria, you have eukaryotic cells, which contain membrane-bound organelles, which are plant and animal cells. That there's similarities between plant and animal cells, like they both have the cell membrane, which is a selectively permeable barrier. We both have ribosomes, which allow protein synthesis. We both have a nucleus, which contains DNA, controls cell activities, and then there's mitochondria, which is a site of cellular respiration that converts chemical energy, like glucose, into ATP. There's also plant-specific structures like chloroplasts, is a site of photosynthesis that converts CO2 and light energy into sugars. There's the central vacuole, which stores water, ions, sugars, and sometimes pigments, and maintains trigger pressure, which can occupy up to 90% of the cell volume. There's the cell wall made of cellulose and provides structural support. And then there's the plasmadermata, and that channels between plant cells, allows transport and communication, and that cytoplasm is interconnected across cells. And there's also major plant hormones, like ethylene is the only gaseous hormone. It promotes fruit ripening and inhibits cell elongation. There's abscisic acid, or ABA, which maintains seed dormancy and inhibits growth under stress. Gibberellin stimulates seed germination and promotes stem elongation. Cytokinin stimulates cell division and delay aging of tissues. And finally, auxin controls cell elongation, establishes root versus shoot development, and regulates phototropism and gravitropism, and it promotes vascular tissue differentiation. Now, I know there was probably a lot of big words in this micro lesson, but this is mainly to just kind of familiarize yourself with the language used in plant botany and biology when describing plants in general. This is just supposed to be a basic course to kind of get you familiar with the terms in botany in general. I want to make a more in-depth one after I get this out of the way, so that'll be coming in the future too. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope to see you in future episodes and micro lessons that I do. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to be updated on any other plant or botany content that I post in general.